Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
He decides to flip and become a cheese eater.
As a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless.
YNW Melly just watched YNW Bortlen accept his plea deal via a live stream from his jail blog. It was announced YNW Bortlen has agreed to a plea deal. In exchange for his plea, he will be sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 6 years of probation. He was facing multiple life sentences, but a part of his deal, YNW Bortlen agreed to tell everything he knows about the YNW Melly double M case. Even the judge said, in quote, "I don't know how your lawyers pulled this off."
And it's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? Yes. And that resolution is an agreement you've reached with the state, the terms of which are as follows. Number one, in the 19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null process, that is, drop the 2 first-degree. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison.
This is the greatest plea deal of all time, from 5 life sentences all the way down to 10 years in prison with time served. It resulted in DJ Academics writing, "The judge says on both charges, YNW Bortlen pled no contest. To that, he has to provide a factual basis for him to accept the plea, meaning you have to tell a factual story of how you indeed committed accessory to the crime, which confirms that the crime happened, which YNW Melly is also charged with. This is a gunna plea, except with the proffer, he cannot say yes ma'am, he has to sing like Franklin," as he would further explain how it's a plea deal similar to Gunna's in the YSL RICO trial.
I did tweet out saying people are upset. I said this is a gunna plea. This is a gunna plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gunna plea. Why do I say he signed a gunna plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they have proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortlen, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in, oh my God, what that proved is that Bortlen worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that the happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know that? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive-by.
This resulted in the news of Lil Wayne and Kodak Black's attorney, Bradford Cohen, says YNW Bortlen has bit the cheese and is likely to flip on rapper YNW Melly after accepting plea deal in his double M case.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip. And it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.
Even 6ix9ine would write, YNW Bortlen just accepted his plea deal with prosecutors. YNW Melly is cooked. I've been told you all about these rap guys years ago, but since they were scared of how big I was, everyone singled me out. As even the judge told YNW Bortlen inside a court today, the prosecutors are gonna want him to do an interview, likely talking about the crime that he committed with YNW Melly.
Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be. What I want you to understand, sir, is I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you've negotiated is the deal you've negotiated, and that's the ballgame. Do you understand all that, sir? Have you had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that? They've answered all your questions? You're sure that that's what you want to do?
With YNW Bortlen being given such a generous plea deal, it's very obvious the state, they only want YNW Melly. It even resulted in Offset tweeting, "Damn, YNW Melly getting snitched on by his best friend. Free that boy, he been locked up for way too long." However, Bortlen didn't have a choice. This is what he was facing in prison time. Comment down below if you would have accepted the deal too.
Mr. Henry, do you understand the offer that the state is making to you? Okay, you're charged as follows. Counts 1 and 2 is the first degree with a firearm. Those are capital felonies, which means it's a mandatory life sentence. If the jury convicts you of count 1 or count 2 as charged, that's life in Florida State Prison. I have no discretion. Count 3 and count 4 are accessory after the fact to murder in the first degree. Those are each first degree felonies. The maximum penalty for each of those is 30 years in Florida State Prison. Count 1 is tampering with a witness in a capital felony. That is punishable by life in Florida State Prison. Is directing the activities of a criminal, that's a first degree felony punishable by life. So the maximum penalty there is also life in Florida State Prison. Count 5 is conspiracy to commit tampering. And again, as it's charged, that is also a life felony. As to all the charges that you're facing, the maximum possible penalties are as follows. Life in Florida State Prison, followed by 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 75 years in Florida State Prison.
However, they're creating a plea deal with YNW Bortlen for a few specific reasons. One being, on the night of the crime, YNW Bortlen did an interrogation. The officer would flat out ask Bortlen, "If you know who did this crime, would you tell me?"
By just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And it's a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay, you may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly.
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want to be.
Where Bortlen doesn't give a firm yes or no answer using his voice, and instead he shakes his head no. This is because if it was Melly who did the crime, Bortlen would obviously know that. So saying no by using his voice would have caused his voice to either crack or come out in a different volume than what he was using throughout the entire interrogation, which is due to him lying in a high pressure situation. This was clear to the police. Bortlen never even wanted to be involved. He couldn't even get words out during his interrogation. All he wanted was just out of the case. And the feds, they already had evidence that Melly did the crime. He literally admitted to it.
The PC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
But YNW Melly was always under the impression he would beat the case. Even before Bortlen's plea deal, YNW Melly ordered a $100,000 chain while in jail.
I would assume
But it's still
that he spent a lot of money on lawyers. Like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry and you're not here to wear the jewelry?
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend
That's
money
what
on.
bro. But he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, there was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro, And now it's like he don't even want the chain no more.
But the way that the feds set up YNW Bortlen to snitch against Melly is something no one is even talking about. It started when the news wrote, YNW Melly's double retrial has been postponed once again. During a hearing on Friday, the 4th District Court of Appeals granted a stay in the case, allowing time to consider a motion by the state attorney's office. The stay means the trial will not begin in September and is now pushed back into January 2027, as the state would file tons of paperwork saying they want to include new evidence in the upcoming trial, but all along they just wanted extra time to create a plea deal with YNW Bortlen. This was confirmed as the news wrote, a no communication order has now been filed in the YNW Melly trial. The order makes Melly and Bortlen completely separate, no talking, no lawyer talk, just silence. That way Bortlen couldn't even call YNW Melly to tell them what the prosecutors are trying to do.
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking the penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
Having YNW Bortlen on their side will leave Melly found guilty in his upcoming retrial, because all they have to do is confirm evidence against Melly. But what you also didn't know is Melly actually tried snitching against Bortlen in the first trial. And since this moment, Melly and Bortlen have not spoke to each other once.
Those were his lies. Courtroom Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Courtroom Henry.
That is YNW Melly's own lawyer telling the jury it was Bortlen that was lying to the feds. It was Bortlen with powder residue on his hands, and that Bortlen was the last one with juvie and sack chaser when they passed. They even went as far as to bringing a forensic scientist to the stand that covered the passings to go into further detail of Bortlen having the powder residue.
So the right hand of Courtroom Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of powder residue and two component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of powder residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was powder residue present on the hands.
Due to this, Bortlen has known he's gonna snitch out of the case for the last few years. When Melly's mistrial was declared, a report read, YNW Bortlen tweets a mysterious message on the same day Melly's mistrial was declared. The tweet reads, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji as if he's accepting a deal, as the writing has been on the wall for the last few years, but no one's even talking about it. But what's even more concerning is YNW Bortlen has every reason to snitch against Melly because of what was found inside of his home.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortlen was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Courtroom Henry, aka Bortlen, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Dimmons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortlen allegedly tampered with the witness.
The details would then be released. As the news wrote, here are the images of alleged notes discovered during the home raid of YNW Bortlen's home last week, as filed into the Broward clerks. Alongside these photos of Bortlen detailing where certain jurors were sitting, alongside a description of what they looked like. You see, before Melly's lawyers tried pinning the crime against Bortlen, YNW Bortlen was inside of the courtroom. He had to appear in front of the judge before Melly came in, so then Bortlen can get his own trial date. While doing so, he left a mental image of what the jurors looked like and even where they were seated. So when he went home that day, he then drew it all out on a piece of paper, and it looked as if he was gonna slide on all of these jurors for Melly if they found him guilty.
To keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortlen, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on. It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
But with Bortlen being released on a house arrest that same day, when he went home that day and watched the live trial, he just ended up putting the paperwork into his suitcase and stuffed it in his closet because of what Melly's lawyers were saying. But here's where it gets even more concerning for Melly, as Bortlen will just validate all of the new evidence the prosecutors want to use against him. The prosecutors are trying to add in 3 new pieces of evidence, and if Bortlen can validate that all of this connects to the crime that was committed, they will be usable, as they want to use a piece of evidence from an ex-O Block member snitching on YNW Melly. Before King Vaughn passed away and Melly was arrested, the two were best friends. King Vaughn told people inside of O Block that YNW Melly was asking him for advice on how to handle people.
Did Vaughn really tell you that Melly told him that he was 2 friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? What the bam? I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us, but you gonna trust that his 2 friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?
However, the prosecutors also want to know why rapper Fredo Bang picked up YNW Melly on the side of the road on the night the crime was committed. While Bortlen had to drive Sack Chaser and Juvie to the hospital, Melly was picked up by Fredo Bang.
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone call.
And lastly, they want to use evidence from a Facebook post of YNW Melly with Young Thug, trying to say that Melly is a part of the same Red Street team that Young Thug is.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has the big B hand signs displayed.
Okay, and these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
They will have 2 years now to make this evidence usable against Melly, and if they do, he'll be done. But did you know the only reason Melly wasn't found guilty in the first trial was revealed? This is because his girlfriend Mariah Hamilton escaped the United States and didn't testify against him, but she just tried coming right back into the country at the worst time.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demons' first trial in 2023.
When coming back into the United States, as she wanted to visit family that she has missed a lot, she was immediately arrested at the airport. She would then be taken into county jail, where she had a very hard time. When showing up to her first court hearing, it was obvious she was going through it. So the judge made her a deal, saying if you agree to testify against Melly, you're free to go home right now. She accepted it before he even finished his sentence, which is terrible news for YNW Melly. On her way home, she wrote on Facebook, "To my village, thank you to my village. I love you all so much. God's plan, not mine." As they found interesting evidence in Mariah's iCloud account relating to Melly forcing her to not testify in trial. This is known as witness tampering by using the jail phone. This carries a life sentence in prison regardless if Melly actually did the crime to sack chaser and juvie.
The state filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
The witness tampering case is also separate from his existing case of sack chaser and juvie's passing. This means there's an actual world where Melly beats the case of sack chaser and juvie, but then is found guilty in the witness tampering case and still goes to prison for the rest of his life. However, due to him witness tampering with the jail phone, Melly hasn't been allowed to use a phone now for several months. Even Juvie's father knew that he witness tampered with it, exposing it in a public interview.
There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
Saying like to me, they going through extreme measures, trying to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom, and
it got so bad that his mother Jamie King even did an interview exposing the county jail for not allowing Melly to use a phone or even look at his own mail. But this ended up affecting Melly a lot more than you think.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to just to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
What's concerning is the feds 100% have the evidence to prove that Melly was witness tampering with the jail phone. They wouldn't just keep him off of the phone if it was a hunch, because that would result in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit and or even leverage against the Broward County Jail in his trials. So they definitely have the evidence, which is maybe why Jamie King would then reveal she feels heartbroken for her son because he's not even being treated like a human now in jail.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
This would end up getting a lot of attention online, as Charleston White would react saying that this is what Melly should be living like. He shouldn't get special treatment just because he's a famous rapper. Comment down below your thoughts.
Even the YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing about being mistreated when you done chose to play think somebody.
This would then get the attention of Boosie, who would speak on the stress that Jamie King has been going through.
Okay, so
then I met his mama while he was in.
Oh, okay.
I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.